What? Well, welcome back to Beer Brackets, everybody. Today, we're reviewing a beer that is notorious on the Beer Brackets channel. Notorious as being probably one of my least favorite beers that I've ever had. And we talked about it in the Bud Light versus Busch Light episode. Link to down below. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. You know what the worst part of this is? Okay, I had to search so hard to find this Bud Light. This is Busch Light. So this is the worst. That's the worst part of this. Okay, it wasn't like I just had to go to the corner. I had to check so many stores, so it made me work for this review. Anyways, I digress. Today, everyone, from Anheuser-Busch Brewing Company, we'll be doing a full Beer Brackets review on on the very sulphuric beer that is Busch Light. I've got a family size.
What a
Busch
pleasure,
Light.
my friend.
It's the only one I could find.
That's good. You get to enjoy more of this amazing beverage, my friend.
I do. Yeah, it's actually a really interesting beer. Funny enough, I never associated Busch with Anheuser-Busch. I always thought Busch as being like in the bush as like a camping beer. I kind of just ignored the spelling with the SCH. It's got a little bit of an interesting history. I mean, back in the 50s, it was the first beer produced after Prohibition by Anheuser-Busch. And it was back then, it was Busch Bavaria, Busch Bavarian lager.
And let's hear it for Busch Bavarian. If you're gonna drink a beer, might as well make it Busch Bavarian.
That's quite a name. It started with, say, very high hopes, and then it continued.
Yeah. Oh, it continued. It continued, all right.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you was, like, if you happen to stumble upon the little legend, not necessarily Busch Light or Busch, but a little fact, let's call it, about Mr. Busch and what he did.
What did Mr. Busch do?
I thought you might find this interesting.
I'm sure
apparently,
I
like you
will.
said, like this beer was introduced in the 50s, right? At the time, like obviously there were like specific laws about naming stadiums. There couldn't
Right.
be
Alcohol
alcoholic
names,
beverages names, exactly. So Mr. Busch had a great idea. He said,
full of great
perfect.
ideas.
Like at the time he wasn't brewing this beer yet. He said, well, I'll buy the stadium and name it after me. Right. And then 2 years later, he released the beer.
Oh,
So there you go. You found the loophole.
genius. That's actually genius. I appreciate that.
Isn't it? The little nugget of legend that I was able to find
I appreciate that
while
beer
doing
nugget.
some beer research.
Speaking of nuggets, I am not looking forward to the aroma of this beer. The last time we smelled this beer, it did smell of human waste to a certain extent. And I'm not looking forward to that again. What I do appreciate about this is that, you know, the fact that it was called a Bavarian lager implies that there's some kind of relationship to the Bavarian lagers. So there must have been some kind of inspiration there at some point. So maybe there are some redeeming qualities here.
It's America's new taste in beer. Do-do-do-do-do-do for the take. Time for fun, kind of living.
If I was you, I'd yodel for Busch Bavarian.
Beer exploration, it's important. You got to cover all bases. Everything is subjective. I know a lot of people who drink, well, not a lot, I know a few people who drink Busch Light. I still don't, I want to know, is it the cheap? Is it just that it's cheap? Is it like, what is it? Please tell me, tell us.
Write it down.
Let us know. Let us know down below. What is it? What's the appeal?
Yeah, why do you like it? And it's not a pretentious question. We're genuinely interested.
No, really.
Like it's every person is different, has their own favorites. We like to have fun and play along like here during those reviews.
right.
But it's really important like for us to know what your thoughts are. And we're not trying to we like to joke around, but that's all it is. So let us know.
You're being very diplomatic here, but I agree, and it's true. It's definitely true. I mean, there are other cheap beers that aren't good. Like, anyways, okay, let's do this. Let's find out. I'm really curious to see how it's going to score.
I'm
very,
very
very, very
curious.
curious.
It's
I haven't had it since the VS episode on purpose.
It does say on the can, cool and smooth.
Well, it's definitely cool. I had it in the fridge.
Cool and smooth. Okay. And it's if anybody's interested, it's 95 calories for the one that I have here, the 12 ounces.
There's that. It's really shining through, man.
This is our beer baseline.
It's exactly. You smell that? You smell that?
Busch Bavarian beer.
It's the Busch.
You're smelling the bush. Okay.
I mean,
What do you score? What do you score this?
I mean, I definitely smell cold.
You smell the cold.
I smell the cold, definitely. I can't say I smell the smooth, but yeah, I think the main descriptor is really that like sulfur, green apple.
Look how flat this got instantly. Look at this.
We've talked about this. Remember, we made a mistake pouring it out like it's meant to be drank out.
But it looks like apple juice. I just poured it out. The head instantly disappeared. Instantly.
It's magic, my friend. Like it's meant to be enjoyed out of the can. Like that's why, like you pour it out of there, it doesn't know what to do. The head disappears. Like, oh my god,
What is this beer?
I think a 0 is appropriate here. I don't think I can go any higher. Even the Aroma has. It's not. I mean, yes, it's 0.
Like, you're definitely meant to drink it out of the can. There's no doubt about that, right? Because when you pour it out, it really smells like sewage. Like it, and this isn't just trying to be funny. Like it really does. Like there's a hint of just like. It smells like, you know, like in like a sweaty concert when you go to like a porta-john, like a portable toilet, and you walk in, and there's just that smell of like chemical mixed with like God knows what, right? Just everything, every kind of like human excrement you can imagine. That's what it smells like. It's crazy. I'm not even making that up or exaggerating. It's weird. It's impressive. Yeah, definitely drinking out of the can. It's a 0. That's for sure. Taste. Let's give it a taste, buddy.
Let's give it a taste, my friend. Like we made it through the difficult part.
No. I don't get why it smells the way that it does. They could fix that, I'd imagine. Why don't they fix it?
Again, like I think this is a strong indicator that like people just don't do this.
Yeah.
Like they just like, no, nobody's doing that.
Right.
I think we're explorers, my friend. We're gonna.
That's right.
We've done something that no one else has.
That's right. And again, for anybody watching who really loves Busch Light, none of this is personal. You probably hate beers that we love.
Absolutely not.
It's all subjective. It's all for fun. It's beer. Beer's fun. None of this is.
Just to have the conversation.
It's about the
conversation.
It's
and
about the experience. It's about the
come
conversation.
in, sit with us in the pub, and talk.
That's right.
That's all that matters. Okay. I don't remember what I said exactly during the VS battle, but I will say that coming from the Aroma, going into the taste, it's actually a very pleasant surprise. Because
right? It is. It really is.
It really is, because you do get a very light hint of maltiness.
Can you taste Bavaria?
A very in the distance.
Can you find
like,
Bavaria somewhere in there?
Yeah, like with a Hubble telescope, like, and you're looking. That's that kind of distance. Very, very, very hint of malt, but predominantly that syrupy, malty extract. Character.
Yeah, that kind of really synthetic.
And then I would call it hop extract. It doesn't taste like fresh hops at all. Like it's just like very bittering and slightly vegetal.
Yeah.
I mean, at 0.5 seems like fair. I was debating at a certain point of going up to a 1 because like it's honestly like it's not offensive.
Yeah.
It's very light. It's a light beer. I tend to not like light beers in general. So what do you think, my friend?
This beer, just like most other beers of this caliber, just everything's kind of really synthetic on it. Like you said, you described that really well. But yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. Coming from the aroma and how kind of like off-putting the aroma is, and then taking a sip, it's actually not bad. And I'll be brave and I'll go as high as a 1. It's flavorful for a light beer. Like there's a maltiness to it that I appreciate, like more so than you get off, let's say, something like a Bud Light or a Coors Light. There's some taste there, and it does it decently well. So yeah. So now mouthfeel, buddy. We need to do a little bit of a refresher.
Beer brackets tradition.
All right.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Oh, look, it's got a head back.
I think what's happening there is that it's shy. We're looking at it naked. Normally, it's surrounded by the can. You're pouring it out.
It's
It goes,
like it's naked.
it gets
Yeah,
scared and
it's being exposed.
loses the head immediately.
It's gone already. It's gone. Poor head.
So this is a little tricky for me, the mouthfeel, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because there's 2 elements here, and I know there's not much head retention, but it's
Not much.
very lively carbon. No. as least as possible.
I think there's negative head retention. It's kind of like there's a hole in the beer.
It goes down
Yeah.
like this.
There's a slope.
But I don't know about your version, but when I take a sip, actually, there's actually a quite lively burst of bubbles. It's there, but what is
there.
interesting is that considering the taste and
I think that's the perfect summary for this beer. It's there.
hey, it exists.
It's beer.
and
It's a beer.
therefore it's beer. It's the best type of descriptor.
Yeah.
Or like it's a baseline of a
Yeah.
descriptor, right? Like it's not as oily and sticky as I would expect.
Right.
From
Definitely
it.
not.
And
yeah.
maybe it's because it's a light beer. I honestly, actually, I'm gonna give it a 1, my friend. I think on the mouthfeel, like I'm not disappointed. Like this, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like let's leave it at that. Like it's
Yeah, man.
it's beer.
It's beer. Yeah, there's no, like, sometimes with these kinds of cheap beers, you get like that, exactly that oily mouthfeel. That's not there. So yeah, I'd agree. It's a 1. It's just nicely crisp. There's enough carbonation there to make it kind of refreshing, kind of cleanse your palate a little bit. No oily stickiness. Yeah, 1. Definitely. What about the finish? What do you think?
We start getting a little bit back into that aroma area. I do get again like that synthetic malt presence, a little bit of hops, but what comes back is that a little bit of that hint of sulfur. Like it's not as strong as on the aroma.
No.
I'll say that. I think I'm gonna stick with the 0.5, my friend, because it's maybe I was a little harsh on the taste. The taste actually was okay, but the finish definitely like staying on a 0.5. What do you think?
Yeah, it's got that sort of like cheap synthetic beer sweetness to it. And it even says, when you're reading on the website, it says that they redid the recipe. I could be wrong. It was either in the 70s or the 80s. And they described it as being sweet. And you can taste that. And you get that off other, like I got that off Labatt, like Molson Canadian when I reviewed that. There's like a sweetness to it. It's that kind of synthetic malt. Yeah, just that common characteristic that you see with this sort of tier of beer. And it's there, but it's very faint. There's not much. I mean, after you take a sip, like 2-3 seconds later, there's just nothing there. 0.5, because I don't want to go down to a 0. 0 would be something bad. There's nothing bad. So, buddies, an overall beer experience. What do you think?
So this might surprise you, my friend. Like this, the very first few time I tried it actually was like for people that are like, oh, have you ever had this? Like try it, like to see the reaction that I would get, right? But I will say this, like even now, especially having done a review category by category, I stick with what I jokingly said initially, and I think that this beer really is not meant to be poured out. Like you gotta enjoy it out of the can, and it's gotta be cold, like it says on the on the can. I think there's a place for that. Now, as an overall experience, is it a beer that I necessarily seek or that I would go for? No, but if I saw it like, and it was an option available and it was handed to me and it's hot outside, like often it is in Florida, And I've had a couple of situations where, like, you know, being with friends and doing some work around the yard or other stuff, or helping moving and etc. I say, here, there's this cold Busch Light, like, tastes extremely refreshing. Well deserved. 1 is fair.
I'm gonna go to a 0.5. I think it's just not. I wouldn't want it in that scenario where you like somebody handed you a Busch. I understand because, you know, you're mowing somebody's lawn or something. It's hot outside, but I would legitimately. Do you have anything else? Do you have like a Coors or something? I would legitimately inquire about the beer availability, which I don't think I would do for very many other beers at all. It's almost like to the point where I would rather not have a beer than drink it. So, but again, it's not like this horrible tasting thing at all. So I don't want to go down to a 0, but I think just a 0.5 for that reason. Just indifferent. It's a beer. I'd rather not drink it. I'd rather avoid it. So I think this is the lowest rated beer ever on Beer Brackets.
Call it. It's the baseline.
It's the baseline. And I think the category for it is very fitting. So it comes out to a 1 on 5, which in our beer rating system, it's the base category, which is that it's a beer. It's a beer. It's there.
It's there. It's there. We said it. We said it halfway through the review, my friend. We said it. It's a beer.
It's a beer. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Hopefully you had some fun watching along with us here. Let us know down below. What do you think of Busch Light? Are you a fan? Are you a fan? Let us know why. Let us know why down below. We're very, very curious. Whatever you do, click that beer bell before leaving. Get notifications on when we're in the pub from YouTube, so you can pop on in and have a beer with us.
And no matter what, don't forget to close your beer brackets.
Never forget. Don't open or close with a Busch.
Maybe not. Or at least if you do, don't pour it out in a glass like we did. Definitely don't.
Or ask for another beer politely. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.